because I have moved into my new house. So, there is one video coming after this that was recorded at my old house that you'll see, and I'll talk about moving in that one. But I forgot that this had to go up on Monday, and that video is coming out on Tuesday. Today, I am going to be reviewing week 2 of the NFL season. As you recall from last week, I said that I was going to do one of these every single week, comparing my predictions to the actual prediction or the actual outcomes of the games and seeing how well I did. As you can see here, we have last week I got 9 out of 15 correct, and this week there are 16 possible games, and that is because the Monday game between Baltimore and Las Vegas is here. Even though that's technically week 1, I go Sunday to Sunday. So, for instance, I'm going to review tomorrow's game, the Monday game, which is technically a part of week 2. I will review that game during week 3 when I do that video. Anyways, starting things off, we have the Houston Texans versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. I predicted that the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Cleveland Browns, I predicted that the Browns would win, and they did win, although not without incident. There was a play where Baker Mayfield went down with a hurt shoulder. It actually looked pretty bad. I was kind of concerned that it might be something long term that would keep him out for a few weeks, but apparently, according to him, his shoulder came out or something like that, but they got it back in on the sideline, and he was able to come back into the game. He finished with 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I did not watch this game. Just a heads up, I didn't watch most of the games this week because I've been moving. I watched 2 games this week, but I have the stats up in front of me, and I watched some highlights and read some news stories and stuff about these coming into it. But yeah, because I was moving into a new place, I didn't really have time to watch the games. But yeah, I predicted Cleveland. Cleveland did win, which means I get a nice green background there. Green. Okay, Buffalo versus Miami. I predicted a Buffalo win here. After week 1, I was looking a little shaky on Buffalo because Buffalo really did not look good week 1 in their loss, but they came out in this game and they showed that they should still be taken seriously, and a great bounce back win for them. Obviously, it is against the Miami Dolphins, so take it all with a grain of salt, but they shut out the Miami Dolphins and did so in pretty convincing fashion. Josh Allen, he had 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Unfortunately, Tua Tagovailoa went down with a rib injury. He had to be carted off the field. So, hopefully he's able to get back into things, soon. A guy like that who already had struggles his rookie year and probably needs to come in and have a strong year this season. To go out in week 2 with an injury, that's just a big, that just sucks, and nobody likes to see that, but I did get that prediction correct. Denver versus Jacksonville. I predicted Jacksonville, but for the second week in a row, Denver proves me wrong. So I think the issue here is that I both overrated Jacksonville and overrated Trevor Lawrence and underrated Denver and what Teddy Bridgewater would be able to do with that Denver offense. I was honestly thinking that they didn't have a solid QB. They didn't really have the good weapons that they needed in Denver, but through 2 weeks they have proven me wrong so far, and Denver is going to massively outperform my expectations and predictions for them, I would say. And Jacksonville is probably going to underperform where I thought they would be. Trevor Lawrence, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He had a really bad QB rating. Obviously, Jacksonville isn't a great team. He doesn't have a lot of weapons at his disposal, but I think that Jacksonville fans were still hoping to maybe see a little bit more playmaking and extending the play from Trevor Lawrence. When he makes good plays, just like last week, when he makes good plays, they look really good, and his arm is there and all of that, but, there's the bad as well. Teddy Bridgewater had an amazing game. 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Just a really great game from Bridgewater. Yeah. Alright, and then the next game we have the New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. I predicted a New England win here, and New England did pull off the win. This is one of the games that I was watching, just because I wanted to see if Zach Wilson looked any better today compared to how he looked last week, and unfortunately he looked even worse in this game than he did in week 1. He either had 3 interceptions in the first half and then got his 4th interception in the second half, or he had all 4 of his interceptions in the first half. But Zach Wilson had 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, threw for 210 yards. Mac Jones had an okay game. He didn't look amazing or anything, but just a lot of check down throws. He had 186 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, so he didn't get any Mac Jones heroics, but he was able to get them into field goal range, into touchdown range for the rushing touchdowns and things like that, so he managed the game and did what he had to do to get his team the win. And I think the Jets the Jets are definitely heading for another disappointing losing season. Maybe even number 1 pick in the draft, potentially. But we'll see. But Zach Wilson needs to start getting it together. He actually got booed during the game, which rookie quarterback, his first home game there in New York, and he got booed. Not what you want to see. Las Vegas versus Pittsburgh. I predicted Las Vegas, and the Raiders made an honest man of me. They made me a truth teller. Derek Carr is having an amazing season. The Raiders are having an amazing season. I think I definitely underestimated the Raiders. They look like a dark horse candidate to make some noise in the playoffs for sure. Derek Carr, 382 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Ben Roethlisberger, 295 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The Raiders win 26-17, so it's not like the Steelers were awful, but they just couldn't get going the way that Las Vegas did. And Henry Ruggs got a touchdown. I think this is his 2nd year in the league, so good to see a young wide receiver there in Las Vegas succeeding, because even though I'm a Seattle fan and I do like the Dolphins as my number 2 team, I'm a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights, and I love the city of Las Vegas, so it's cool to see the Raiders doing well now that they're in Las Vegas. Kansas City versus Baltimore. I predicted Kansas City, and it was a tight game, but Baltimore comes out on top. This was a really, really close game. Patrick Mahomes, 343 yards, 1 touchdown. interception. Lamar Jackson, 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. This game was the fourth quarter. Lamar Jackson got a 1-yard rushing touchdown, I believe, to seal the win. If I remember correctly, this was pretty much back and forth the whole game. It was pretty close, and the Chiefs were actually leading going into the end of the game. But yeah, then Lamar Jackson goes out and puts the team on his back, and there you go. Baltimore gets the win, and they're 35-36. All right, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Chicago Bears. I predicted Chicago, and coming off of a really good week 1, I was a little iffy about this pick, thinking maybe Cincinnati's gonna take this, and it was close, but in the end, Chicago does win, and I do get a correct prediction. 17-20, that game ended. Joe Burrow, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Andy Dalton, 56-yard, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. So Joe Burrow definitely slinging it quite a bit more than Andy Dalton, but he also got those interceptions that went along with it, even though he put in more heroics. And the Bears got it done from field goal range, and on defense they got a returned interception. But yeah, the Bears got it done on defense and on special teams, whereas the Bengals, were trying to get it done on offense, but they just didn't have enough firepower to get it done. Jamar Chase, though, he's looking like an even better pick this week. Jamar Chase got 54 yards, 1 touchdown. That connection with Joe Burrow is definitely showing there in week 2, just like it did in week 1. And I think they're going to have a really good, long, successful career together. I'm excited to see it. Alright, the Los Angeles Rams versus the Indianapolis Colts. I predicted that the Rams would win, and the Rams did win. 27-24, super tight game. I think it came down to, a field goal at the end of the game for the Rams. Won it. The Colts made a field goal to tie the game, but then the Rams at the very end get the go-ahead field goal there to win by 3, 27-24. Matthew Stafford, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Carson Wentz, 247 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So it's not like either one of those guys massively outperformed or underperformed the other. It was just an actual battle of a game, a back and forth, just slugfest battle, and in the end the Rams come out on top, and I get the W in my predictions. The Dallas Cowboys versus the LA Chargers. Even though I would have personally wanted the Chargers to win because of Justin Herbert and my Oregon connection, I predicted Dallas to win here, and Dallas did win this game. Dak Prescott, no touchdowns, but he did get 237 yards, 1 interception. Justin Herbert, 338 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And what's funny is Prescott and Herbert's QB rating is only 0.6 difference. Dak Prescott has a rating of 87.8, and Justin Herbert has a rating of 87.2. So this was a super tight game, a good quarterback battle, but the difference came with Dallas's rushing game. They got 2 rushing touchdowns, and the Chargers got 1. They got 1 passing touchdown, which was Herbert's 1 touchdown there, but Dallas got it done on the ground. They got some field goals there. They got a go-ahead field goal at the end of the 4th, a 56-yarder, and they win 22-17. Tennessee Titans versus the Seattle Seahawks. This guy wearing the Metcalf jersey had a very bad game today. Seattle was winning this game in the first half. At the end of the first, it was 24-9, and I was I was so happy to be wrong about this prediction at that point. But then the second half came out and Seattle just completely fell apart at the seams. The offense couldn't get anything going. The defense had zero answer for Derrick Henry. And in overtime, the Tennessee Titans beat the Seattle Seahawks, unfortunately proving my prediction correct. Ryan Tannehill, 347 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Russell Wilson, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So even though you had that incredible game from Russell Wilson, it wasn't enough to overcome the Titans and their ability to score points with their feet using Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns. Absolute monster performance from Derrick Henry. Julio Jones was the best receiver for the Titans, 128 yards compared to Lockett's 178. Julio Jones did not have a touchdown. Lockett did, but they didn't need Julio to get them touchdowns. He just got them into range, and then Henry did the rest. Titans win 33-30. New York Giants at Washington football team. I predicted Washington here, even though I am high on the New York Giants. Well, not as high anymore, but at the time of the prediction, I was pretty high on the New York Giants. I thought that Washington's defense would be hard to beat, and Washington proved me right. They get the win by 1 point, 30-29. Daniel Jones, 249 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, and Taylor Heineke, starting after Fitzpatrick went down, gets 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. This might be, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like this might be his first NFL start. He looked really good. Saquon Barkley did not look like Saquon Barkley. I don't know what's gotten into him this season, but he's having kind of a rough season so far. He only got 57 yards, no touchdowns. Antonio Gibson for Washington at 69 yards. But yeah, a really just slugfest of a game, back and forth, 1-point game in the end. You love to see stuff like that. And Washington comes out on top, 30-29. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I predicted a San Francisco win here, and I got it. My Okie does not like to work for some reason. And I got it right there. San Francisco wins 17-11. Jalen Hurts had a really good game. He had 1 more yard than Jimmy Garoppolo on 7 fewer attempts. He just couldn't get the passing touchdowns going, and his team couldn't convert when they needed to. Jimmy Garoppolo, 189 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Jalen Hurts, 190 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Yeah, just a lot of field goals, rushing touchdowns. Actually, so the winning drive was the 4th quarter. This is actually kind of funny. So, in the 4th quarter, Jimmy Garoppolo gets a rushing touchdown for 1 yard, and then Jalen Hurts gets a rushing touchdown for 1 yard at the end of the game. I think that's kind of funny, like how often, was that the last 2 scores of the game, but kind of funny. But in the end, the San Francisco 49ers 17, Philadelphia Eagles 11. New Orleans Saints versus the Carolina Panthers. I took New Orleans here. I believed in LASIK Jameis, and after week 1 in his monstrous performance, I was super confident that they would win here, but actually Carolina comes out on top, and in very convincing fashion, Carolina absolutely throttled New Orleans 26-7. Sam Darnold looks amazing now that he is not in New York anymore. Him and that connection with Christian McCaffrey is amazing. You can tell that he's just loving life in Carolina right now, and he's like a whole new quarterback. He has like a whole new lease on life. Let's see, Jameis Winston, 111 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, making me a little nervous. I'm hoping week 1 Jameis was not a fluke, and that hopefully he can bounce back and get some of that week 1 magic back. But Sam Darnold, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Good game from Sam. And Carolina shut them out until the fourth quarter. The first New Orleans touchdown came in the fourth quarter. After the Carolina had already hung 17 on them, and then they got 9 more by the end of it. So good game from Carolina. I definitely think I underrated them in my predictions. Alright, let's go here. Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I predicted a Tampa Bay win, and Tampa Bay did win in an oddly high-scoring game. Atlanta lost in week 1, of course, but the final score of this game was Atlanta 25, Tampa Bay 48. That's 73 total points. The over-under on this game was 52. That is an absurd amount of points that was scored in this game. And Tom Brady just put on an absolute clinic. 276 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Matt Ryan, 300 yards, so more yards, but 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's not a good look there from Matt Ryan, especially after he had a really bad game week 1. Falcons fans and coaches might be getting a little bit nervous that maybe Matt Ryan is reaching the end of his rope here. And yeah, Mike Evans got 2 of the touchdowns, 75 yards. Good game for Mike Evans. Alright. And our final game, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Arizona Cardinals. I predicted Arizona, and they proved me right. Oh, actually, no, not the last game. I still have Baltimore, Las Vegas. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Cardinals versus the Vikings. It was actually looking like the Vikings were going to win for a decent portion of this game. The Vikings, let's see, at the end, at halftime, the game was 23 to 24, and then I think the Vikings scored first in the third, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Vikings scored first in the third, and then the Cardinals scored. Then the Vikings kicked a field goal to take the lead, and then the Cardinals drove down, got into field goal range, and ended up winning by 1 point. So yeah, the final score, Arizona Cardinals 34, Minnesota Vikings 33. The Vikings, they looked good in this game. Kirk Cousins, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, but Kyler Murray, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So those interceptions, you're not a big fan of that, but he looked really good. He threw for a lot of yards, and he made big plays when it counted. So Arizona there. Then finally the Monday game, Baltimore versus Las Vegas. I predicted a Baltimore win here, but actually Las Vegas comes out on top, and they win 33 to 27. Another really good game from Derek Carr. This better than his game this week 2. He had 435 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Lamar Jackson, 234 135 yards, 1 touchdown. But what's funny is Lamar Jackson also led the Ravens in rushing yards that game. And I think the game ended on, let me just double check. Yeah, it was an overtime win for Las Vegas. Derek Carr 31-yard touchdown pass that won him the game. So that is my week 2 recap. Well, I'm going to have to adjust my thing here, right here, because I need to drag this out to here to get ready to put in the score. So out of 16 games, I got 4 wrong. Only 4 wrong. Last week, I got 6 wrong. So my final score for this week is 12 out of 16. Okay, and then we pulled the handy dandy calculator, pull it into frame here, and we go 12 divided by 16. I was 75% correct on my predictions for week 2 of the NFL season. So my combined total so far, okay, so we have 16 and 15, so we have 31 games. Okay, so total, we have 31 games. I am 21 out of 31. Yes. And again, let's pull up the calculator and go 21 divided by 31. So far for the season, I am 68% correct for the entire season so far, which obviously it's only been 2 weeks. But that is where I stand. This week I was 75% correct. Last week I was 60% correct. And total for this season, I have 21 out of 31 correct predictions for a 68% correct prediction rate. If you used my predictions as a form of betting so far, you would be up on the money. Just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there. Just saying. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to put one of these out every single Monday until the end of the NFL season, like I said. And then once the regular season ends, I'll have to figure out what day I want to upload things for the playoffs and the Super Bowl and all that. But the NFL content has been getting a ton of views, and I really appreciate it. The week 1 video is sitting at like 235 views right now, so I definitely appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoy this. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Helps with the algorithm and lets me really like what I'm doing here.